what is the moment from your filmography that you most wish a young Denis Villeneuve could watch because he would look at it and go, "Oh my
Oh wow.
God, that is a moment."
Honestly, it's a great question. You are very generous, and I thank you. It's a nice way to wake up for me to talk with you.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
It is an honor to see you again, sir. Seriously, thank you so much for your time. I told you this was going to be the case when we did the junket back in February, but this is my favorite movie so far this year. It's my number one on my top 10 and on all my ballots. So to be able to get to talk to you again, seriously, it's a massive honor. Thank you for your time.
Please, my great pleasure. I'm waking up. So
No, trust me, I get it,
but
man.
thank you.
I'm going to start out with a big question. I was wondering if you could imagine sitting in a theater next to Frank Herbert and watching Dune Part 2. And when it's over, you lean over and go, all right, what did you think about how I did this? What is the moment or the scene that you would love to get his thoughts on?
The last shot. I would love
Why?
to know what Frank Herbert would have thought of the last shot of Chani, how she refrained from crying, holding on her tears because she's a Fremen fighter. Fremen don't cry, and get back her strength for what's coming ahead of her. And the idea that because her character, I'm the character of Shani in the movie is different from the character in the book. She's someone that don't believe in the what Paul represents, which is very different from the book.
Your
Uh,
reinterpretation of the character, I think, is absolutely brilliant. Speaking of Frank Herbert, I'd always heard that story that one of the main reasons that he wrote Dune Messiah was because he was noticing that people were not truly understanding the character of Paul Atreides. He noticed that people were loving him instead of fearing him in a way. And I'm sort of curious if you have noticed any similar reaction from moviegoers following the end of Part 2. Do you think that audiences are understanding Paul the way he is meant to be understood?
I hope so, and that's why we made John Spade, the screenwriter, and I made those changes in Shani. I mean, the idea was to create a distance with Paul and to understand that he went through he took the wrong door, and to make sure that the movie will be a cautionary tale against messianic figure and not a celebration of Paul. And I think that no one can watch the movie thinking that Paul, it's a triumph at the end. You feel the pain of Paul, you feel the pain of Shani, you feel the betrayal, the political betrayal. And that I think is pretty clear, I hope.
It is. You handle it perfectly. No, it's interesting that the comparison that I'd always heard whenever I was reading the books, whenever I was in high school, was that people would say, "Oh, well, Paul Atreides is like Luke Skywalker," but a lot of people say, "No, he's not. He's Anakin Skywalker." And I'm sort of curious. You are a Star Wars fan. Would you agree with that comparison?
Absolutely, absolutely. And George Lucas inspired himself a lot from the book Dune. And sometimes I joke saying that one of the good Dune adaptation was Star Wars. And yeah, it's absolutely is much closer to Anakin than Luke. Yeah, but I
Uh,
would say that as a kid, when I read the book as a kid, and as I was going through the book, I was thinking of Luke Skywalker. I was making the parallel myself, so I understand when people say that.
It's an interesting comparison. I also love, I know you've made the comparison to Michael Corleone, which I think is a perfect comparison. I
Mm.
know that you are in the middle of writing Dune Messiah right now, and I'd imagine there's not much you could probably tell me, but I know that book is I feel like a much different vibe than the original Dune, particularly in regards to action. I feel like there are a lot of action scenes that are talked about and remembered, and there's a lot of reminiscing about things that happen, but there's a lot of things that we don't necessarily see. And I'm sort of curious how your adaptation process for Messiah is maybe differing than for Dune, and because I'd imagine that there's not as many big scale action scenes that are necessarily right there on the page.
But if I may, if you go back to the first novel, Dune, very often you have two characters coming inside in a room and saying, wow, that was a battle. Hey, that was there's a lot of people coming out of action and referring it to, and it's like it was a bit. All the Dune books are written like that, and the idea is to as a screenwriter is to go in those descriptions and dig into them and bring them up to the surface, because there's a lot of rich material there, and a lot of rich cinematic material, but it's not, you are not, they are in the descriptions, and it's just very vague and always talking about something that happened before. So Dune Messiah is no exception. It follows the same writing technique. So we have the same approach to bring it to the screen. Yeah.
I love that. This is a nerdy question, but I always love asking, do you know what the last, because you talked about the last shot of Dune Part 2, do you know what the last shot of Dune Messiah is going to be?
Yes, but the thing is that I don't like to talk about projects when they are not born yet, because they are like in the womb, they are vulnerable, they are like, so yeah, the movie is very precise. The images are there.
Fair enough. They're pulling me out of here. I got one question left, and I'm going to get you out of here on this. Between Blade Runner 2049 and two Dune films now, you've directed a lot of movies that have ties back to your love of film as a kid. And I'd love to know, over the course of your career, you've directed some of my favorite movies of all time, some of the greatest films ever made. I'd love to know, what is the moment from your filmography that you most wish a young Denis Villeneuve could watch, because he would look at it and go, oh my God, that is a moment?
Honestly, it's a great question, but I will say that I think that the young myself who loved the book at 13 years old, I would have loved to see his face watching the opening sequence of Dune Part 2.
That is the guys taking off, floating up,
yeah, exactly,
because they've got to get
exactly.
Oh, yeah. I remember at that junkie, you always remember like the theatrical experience. Forgive me for swearing, but I remember we were at the junket in LA, and I think they screened it for us on IMAX, and I think I audibly let out the word "fuck" whenever that happened, because I just knew it was one of those moments. Mr. Villeneuve, I tell you every single time, I don't mean to embarrass you or geek out too much, but you make films that remind me of why I love movies. The Dune movies are some of my favorite theatrical experiences of all time. I never thought we would ever get them this way. So I just want to say thank you. From one movie fan to another, I just want to say thank you for everything you do for cinema and for storytelling. And it's always an honor to be able to speak with you, sir.
It was you are very generous, and I thank you. It's a nice way to wake up for me to talk with you.
Excellent. I appreciate you, sir. Have a great day.
Have a great day to you too. Take care.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.